Welcome, heathens and witches, to the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast. Yeah, I'm John Norgrove. This is Julie Norgrove. I don't really know how to start these. If you,
it's been a year.
I know. You would think that I'm like learning or paying attention or being an adult. It's not happening. So if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like this video, comment below, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and do all that kind of stuff. And if you are listening to this on your podcast network of choice, then please leave us a review. That's how we know that you watched, because otherwise figuring out how podcasts work is a nightmare. Yeah. But I think that we should just jump right into this one.
Yeah.
Today we are talking about Yule.
That's right.
But 102, because last year we did 101. So if this is your first time listening to us, this is going to be a little bit more deep dive into Yule, like a little bit more esoteric. So if you want like sort of that like 50,000 foot overview of Yule, going to the 101 last year is probably the best bet. But you know, things are gonna overlap. You can listen to this one without the last one's knowledge.
You'll still get some good stuff.
Yeah, you'll still get some good stuff and stuff like that. And if you do have any questions, you can just hit us up on social media. All of our social media and stuff will be linked below. Or you can go to our website, nerdjive.com, for that. And if you want to subscribe on YouTube, where everything's at Nerdjive, even though this is the Horn and Cauldron podcast, Nerdjive is like the overarching brand that we have.
Yeah,
and
because I'm a witchy nerd.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd about witchy stuff.
So nerd about witchy stuff. And I'm a nerd about fucking everything.
I mean, I don't nerd about other
sometimes
things.
I read too much. Yeah. And if you would like to support more of this witchy content, we have a Patreon, which is Nerd Jive on Patreon. Yep. And we have a Horn and Cauldron podcast tier, where you get access to the Book of Shadows pages that I make, as well as like cell phone backgrounds, and you get to hang out with us, and
a special Discord
chat and all that stuff.
We do a monthly hangout.
Do all the things. Do all the things.
Yeah.
They're all out there. And I would like to give a shout out to our patrons, Alan, Miranda, Helena, and Alexa. Thank you very much for allowing us to do this and helping us. There's a lot of equipment to do this, and I'm still not even that good at it.
Yeah, and
and we need more equipment.
Your support
still.
Helps us do what we do.
Yeah, your support
better
helps
every
us, as well as gives you more access to us. And the point here is to create a coven of like-minded individuals who just want to have a good old time and learn and share and explore together. Julie and I practice differently. We practice differently from some of our patrons, and it's just about the community of learning and sharing and being cool. So do that.
Yeah, and it's a no gatekeeping, no hate,
no assholes allowed.
Yeah,
everybody has one. Nobody bring it. You leave that shit at home. Or whatever makes sense linguistically.
Detach that.
Yeah, just to uncouple. The booty.
Gross.
Yeah. Space stuff. Anywho, Yule 102, let's get into it and have me shut the fuck up.
I want to be like, about time.
I don't know. Maybe it's been a long time. Maybe it hasn't been a long time. I'm just
Who knows?
I'm just here to drink and give color commentary.
So Yule is actually tomorrow.
Yule is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the cool thing is although Yule starts on the Winter Solstice, which if you're listening to this when it comes out is going to be today, that's Tuesday, December 21st. Yeah. Then that doesn't mean that you missed out, because Yule technically goes for at least 3 days, and for in most traditions a couple of weeks, and ends on January 1st, or even after January 1st, sometime between the 7th and the 10th. So you have plenty of time to celebrate the Yule season.
If you are new to us and you haven't heard this before, if the holiday is on a day that you already have plans, or are working, or are busy, or otherwisely indisposed, or honestly you just got home from work and not really feeling it right now, do that shit on the weekend, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it don't have to be the exact day. That's not how we do that. Like, if you want it to be the exact day and that's like your thing, do it, rock and roll, right? We're not gonna stop you. But like for us, like this year, we're doing Yule stuff tomorrow. We're having a couple of friends come over. So like we're doing like Yule stuff here for us. But
we don't normally do that.
But normally we would put this shit off till Saturday. Like 100. It would either be next Saturday or like last Saturday. There's like no way we're doing some shit in the middle of the week, especially if we're having like a full block.
Especially if we're having people come over
and people coming over and stuff. Like our buddy's coming over just to like hang out and say hi. And like we're doing preparatory Christmas cooking because I have to test out a brand new recipe because for Christmas and for Thanksgiving this year, I decided to do something I've never done before, which is very weird way to make life choices. But I mean, Thanksgiving turned out super good. I deboned a whole ass turkey.
Yeah. It was delicious.
Pre-cook.
It was really neat having like deboned turkey.
It was awesome.
That's definitely something
very
we're gonna have to
Yeah,
do.
give it a try. Give it a try.
I'm very into the spatchcocking, but honestly, I'm way more into the
deboning.
Turkey.
Way cooler.
That was
way cooler.
so much easier.
Shout out to Adam Ragusia.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, hashtag not sponsored, but he's the fucking best. Check him out on YouTube. His cooking channel is hyper informative and legit. His YouTube video guided me through deboning a whole turkey. So like he's legit, dude. So Yule does not have to be celebrated on the exact day. But if you want to do that, rock and roll.
Yeah. No, Yule has been celebrated since on paper since the 4th century. It's the first mention of that we've got of the festival of Yule. But we have a lot of clues that this has been celebrated for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And one of the things that I want to try to do this year is to stay up late and watch the Yule solstice thing at Stonehenge that they live stream. But that's late in California time.
Yeah, our time it starts at 11:30.
Yeah, and I'm normally asleep.
Yeah, that's late for her. For me, no problem. Because I'm one of those irresponsible adults who doesn't sleep.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So
I'll wake her up.
So Yule starts on the winter solstice. So the winter solstice is the longest night of the year. So it's the shortest day of the year. And really the symbolism behind Yule is about rebirth of the sun. You're sort of at the dead of winter, winter. Although, I mean, where we live in California, this is not really the dead of winter. This is kind of like the beginning of winter for us. But
well,
yeah. But historically,
you can 12-month Gregorian calendar for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So traditionally, Yule is meant to be the dead of winter, and it's like it's like the furthest away that the sun is. So it's a time where people are mopey and sad, and times are tough because wintertime, especially in ancient times, was really hard because you had to literally harvest everything you were going to eat through the winter before September.
Yeah.
And then that shit had to last you all the way through to spring pretty much. So it's a tough time.
Yeah,
but
you couldn't just go to DoorDash and get that shit delivered. That wasn't a thing.
You couldn't just hop over to the
Although,
store.
if you do get trapped backwards in time, I mean, somehow turn DoorDash into an old-timey thing, it's how you get rich. Just putting it out there.
That could be it.
Right?
That could be it.
Yeah. I literally, every single time I think about ancient day stuff, I think, what if I got stuck back there, and what can I do to make sure I don't get murdered? Every single time. What modern shit, could you imagine getting time traveled back to the 14th century and then scrounging up the ingredients to make a burrito and present that shit to a king? You're going to be like, sir, I want you to try this. And he's like, that looks like a piece of wood. And you're like, it's not. There's food in it. Bites into that shit. Boom. Court cook. You're protected and safe. I think about this legitimately 5 times a day.
Or tacos or something.
Yeah, just anything. Anything that I'm doing at the moment, I think, can this somehow be weirdly brought backwards in time with me? Just as knowledge. It's one of the reasons why I study everything so weirdly ferociously, is because I'm just what if I have to use this technology in the past or something? I
mean, that is a legitimate concern.
It's not. That's not. It probably isn't.
I think it's a legitimate
super crazy, but it's something I am super prepared for. Send me back in time. See what happens. I'm gonna live like a king. Yeah. As long as you send me to a place where brown people are okay, because I'm a little brown, and that's a thing that I have to worry about going backwards in time.
That is definitely a thing you have to worry about.
Just didn't even think about until I was in my 30s. And I saw a TV show that mentioned it, and I was just like, oh, I hadn't put that into any of my plans because I forgot that I was brown and that racism existed.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous because, I mean, you're listening to this right now, so you understand how ridiculous that is. But yeah, I mean, I guess that just plan never clicked in my head all the way. don't understand racism. That's just stupid. So
It is. So back to Yule. So
we'll get on track, guys. Don't worry.
We'll get
about
there
it.
or not. You
Yeah.
know, this
Whatever's
could be
clever.
this could be a multi-hour event.
Yeah, right.
So some popular things to do on Yule, because it's kind of like midwinter party season, still kind of like filter through to today, and you can see that with like parties and singing and dancing and feasts, decorating with evergreens, Yule logs and wassailing, and like a Christmas ham. Yule boar was like a big tradition as well, and one that's
you said Yule core, like mermaid core.
oh, Yule core.
Like, Yule core sounds fucking dope.
Yule core does sound dope.
I fully support that.
Yeah, I feel like Yule core is basically like taking the fashion choices of like any one of those like period piece holiday things, like alternate reality ones, like the one with the toy maker that we watched last year, and I wanted to make everything that they made. I don't remember what that's called.
Oh, what was that? Damn, that was good.
Or Klaus,
Klaus,
that we just watched. Yeah. Anyway, so a lot of that stuff kind of like permeates into the now times, and some of that stuff was popular then and is getting more popular now after several centuries of not being super popular, like Yule goat, for instance, or technically bonfires, really. So, I mean, bonfires,
every celebration wants a bonfire. Listen, when in doubt, bonfire. But if you do bonfire safely.
Drinking game. That's your fire safety. Yeah.
That wasn't. You'll get another one.
You'll probably get at least one more. Yeah.
I'm patient.
So we talk about all of those things at length in our Yule 101 episode. So I'm not going to go super deep into them here. But I do want to talk about, for this year, for Yule 102, some important figures that are part of the like Yule time season that you see a lot of.
Y is like with your arms out like this, and then you do like upside down.
That's not how you do it.
And then L is like this. Important figures. You mean these figures? Like YMCA figures?
No, I'm not gonna.
I tried.
I'm not gonna give that to you. That was.
I was going for as lame as possible, so I feel like I won.
That worked.
Yeah.
That was beyond dad jokes.
Yeah.
That was beyond dad jokes. That's jokes you teach to little kids.
Got this. Anime glasses. I can't do that because it pushes my eyelashes into my eyeballs. Yeah, because I got long eyelashes and my glasses touch him if I don't wear them like sagged down my nose. It's a real curse.
So as we get into this, there are some names and some terms that I have done my best with trying to pronounce. So please let us know if I am pronouncing something wrong. I only have the internet to tell me how to pronounce things, and it's not an easy task to find a correct pronunciation.
And we speak English only.
Yes.
I speak a little French and a little German and a little Japanese, but that's not helpful, actually.
Yes, and I believe that this first name is actually Welsh, which is one that I have the hardest time with.
Welsh is a hard one, yeah.
So I am very sorry if you are hearing me pronounce things very wrong.
Yeah.
So
just correct us.
So the
Seriously.
first figure that we're going to talk about that pops up when you're talking about like heathen holiday time, Christmas time, Yule time type of things is Lwyd. And that name mostly means gray mare. But some scholars think that it means a merry game, or is even derived from a term meaning the Virgin Mary. Mary,
they're close.
All of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure.
But we don't really know. So that makes things kind of complicated. But if you've been a long-time listener to the podcast, you'll know that that's pretty much the thing that I say about all of that stuff is we don't really know.
Yeah. Thank you, Christianization. Ding.
Yeah, so Lwyd is a horse skull attached to the top of a pole and is covered with a cloth. This is technically called a
that's not a
horse.
person.
Oh, did I say a person?
No. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Honestly, I wasn't paying that much attention. I was just like, holy shit, this person's just a skull on a pole? That's fucking horrifying.
So technically, this is a hobby horse, and it's a horse skull specifically. Not like a horse head, but like a skull of a horse.
Yeah, the bone attached part to the top inside of the fucking head.
And covered with the cloth. The skull and the cloth are decorated with ribbons and ornaments and baubles and stuff like that. And the person that is carrying this hides underneath the cloth, so it's a hobby horse.
So you don't ride it like a kid's horse toy.
I mean,
remember horse head on a stick as a toy?
That's basically what this is.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if young people know that that was a toy, horse head on a stick. Not a real fucking horse. Well, probably, obviously. Honestly, I never looked into it. I was a child. But yeah, I had horse head on a stick. Everybody had horse head on a stick. It was like the classic toy.
I did not. I did not. But there were other kids that did. I was not into that.
I would say that you're a girl and older than me, but that doesn't make any sense. Because I definitely saw girls with them.
Yeah.
So
the person carrying around the person carrying it around, they're disguised, and they're like in a group with a bunch of festively dressed people. No, it's even better than that.
What are horse bellsnickles?
We're going to talk about bellsnickles too.
Oh, okay.
So the person who's disguised as Lwyd and their festively dressed group, they travel around town and they sing songs door to door. So basically they're wassailing.
Yeah.
Which if you remember from last year, or if you haven't listened to it yet, wassailing comes from a Anglo-Saxon greeting, which means be in good health. Yeah. And
it's singing at people until they give you
singing
liquor.
At people a bit drunk.
Yeah,
until they give you
liquor.
Food and drink.
Yeah.
But mostly drink. So they basically wander around wassailing. And at each house they stop and they sing. But the singing is very specific. It's not just like carols. They're singing to demand entry, food, and drink. They want to be in the house and they want to eat and drink in the house.
I want you to picture sitting comfortably in your house and then you just hear people violently screaming about trying to get into your house for free shit.
Yes.
It's the most threatening way to be robbed.
It gets better. It's better.
Amazing. I love it. Also, in my mind, they're singing Backstreet's Back. So
live
with that
the people
shit in your
who
head.
Live in the house sing back, denying them entry and giving them excuses why they can't.
I'm sorry, you have to sing to fight the horse demon?
Yes.
Fucking Jesus, man. The old times were weird.
Yeah. And this goes back and forth until the people in the house run out of excuses and let them in. It doesn't really seem to me in the research that I did
excuses.
Well, I mean, they're like, the baby's asleep, and they're like, you don't have a baby. Yeah. Basically, they're having like a rap battle.
Yeah.
A drunken old-timey rap battle to get into the house.
Yes, Lin-Manuel Miranda, would you please make a weird horse demon wassail rap battle? Holy shit, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So eventually,
musical friends. I might be able to convince somebody to do this.
So eventually, the people in the house run out of excuses, and they let this troop of drunken people into their home.
I feel like this is the progenitor for Baby It's Cold Outside, but just like in reverse.
Maybe.
Right?
Now, once inside, the people in the house give them food and drink, and then the person playing Lwyd cavorts around the house while the leader of the house, or by the leader of the group, who's generally dressed like all fancy and stuff, or fancier than their companions. And they all have like weird costumes. And, there's a variety of different kind of like variations there. But once inside, Lwyd is cavorting around the house, scaring children and knocking over things that are okay to be knocked over. Like, what's this, a pillow? Shove that on the couch. Shove that on the floor.
Okay, so you just got a cat in the house.
Yeah. And the leader of the group tries to restrain them. Tries to restrain them. Comically. Comically tries to restrain
theater.
them.
Hey, don't worry. I'm going to control this horse demon that I just loosed into your house. It's going to scare the shit out of your kids.
It is unclear at what point the food and drink is given to them, but basically once the leader of the group has restrained them and other odd like things have happened. There's like one character that that's kind of like a Punch and Judy thing that threatens to rake out your fireplace.
Wow.
And does so with a stick. So once they're done,
has
they leave the house and
and
wassail over to the next place.
Has anybody ever done this? If so, was it awesome? What was it like? Do you have photos and share them with us? Social media links in the links below. And also, if you haven't, does anybody want to do this? We don't have a horse skull, but what about a deer skull?
We have like a plastic unicorn skull. That would be even better.
Yeah, unicorn's a kind of horse. I'll accept it.
Yeah.
I'll allow it. Yeah, let's Mary Lwyd it up, bro.
So this is a tradition that's pretty popular throughout the northern bits of the UK, and in particular, like I said, I'm pretty sure Wales is like really the main place that it's coming from. But but there's not really any precedent for this to be ancient, really. The first mention that we have,
shit that started,
yeah, the first mention that we have of this tradition is from the 1800s. Although some people think that it is derived from ancient traditions that are widespread throughout the UK, called hoodening. Hoodening.
I mean, breaking into somebody's house dressed like a horse demon is pretty hood, but I don't think that they mean the same thing that I mean. Wow. Okay. Also, every Christmas movie now officially sucks because carolers could have a horse demon amongst them who wants to like scare your kids and drink your booze. A significantly more fascinating way to carol. Like, let us in. And the people inside are like, no, baby, it's cold outside. And they're like, we don't give a shit. It's gonna happen. I love this. Make this a Christmas movie. What is happening?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Hallmark needs to get their shit together.
So hoodening is basically where somebody disguises themselves as like a hobby horse type animal. Because it wasn't just horses. They did that with other animals too.
Sure.
And enacted like plays.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yes.
So most likely this isn't a pre-Christian tradition because we don't really see any record of this until the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that there weren't variations of this that happened, but the big clue there for it to not be ancient is that in the 16th and 17th century, hobby horses were all the rage among the rich. They had like super ornate hobby horses, different kinds of animals, sticks, like fancy flowing, like sometimes painted, cloths draping over.
Just like hung in the house?
Yes, or they gave them to their children to play, or they would drunkenly play with them at rich people parties.
Yeah, we're gonna make so many skull horse think about shit. That sounds fucking dope. Yes. I'm sorry. What? I just assumed this shit was for like kids who were into cowboys, but damn.
Probably actually awesome. Not for children mostly, unless you were hyper rich.
I'm very into this, dude.
So when you think about it, like 100 years later, it's not really a far stretch to imagining that somebody took wassailing and somebody took a hobby horse.
And by their powers combined,
Mary Lwyd.
Yeah.
So that is the first important figure.
That's so dope. Oh my God. Yes, we're going to do this. Yes. I got sticks. I got skulls. We can make this happen. No problem. You know what I really want to do is I want to do one of these Mary Lwyds with a fucking what you call giraffe head.
Oh, you
I had to think
one?
of the word giraffe because I called giraffes kangaroos and kangaroos giraffes. It's like an old crazy thing. Ignore it. That was very difficult to remember what they were actually called because giraffe skulls are nightmarish. Have you ever seen a giraffe skull?
Yeah.
Hey, TLDR, secret Yule 102 podcast homework. Google giraffe skull. They're fucking nightmare fuel. I love giraffes, by the by. I have like a bunch of giraffe stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And kangaroo stuff. Those are, I don't know, whatever. Those two animals have some sort of correlative value in my mind for no reason at all. But yeah, giraffe skulls. I've always wanted one. They're like super expensive, but they're so cool looking. They're like straight up nightmare.
Yeah.
I love them. Yeah, I get like a giraffe skull painted black. Cover it in runes. I got this. We got a plan. Yule 103. It's going to be a bunch of skulls. Yeah. Honestly, when I get up to refill my drink, I'm probably going to bring that unicorn skull in. So what's up?
So next we're going to talk about Krampus. And Krampus really has exploded in popularity over the last like 10 years or so. So Krampus is usually portrayed as a satyr-like man-goat hybrid. Krampus has brown or black fur all over his body, cloven hooves, goat horns, a tail, fangs, and a long pointy tongue. That's pretty standard.
For the ladies.
I guess.
I could not resist.
That's pretty standard look for him, although some more modern things like the horror movie Krampus that came out a couple of years ago, he looks very different from a satyr, but he does still have some of those things.
Yeah, he's way more like Christian demon-y.
Sort of, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So Krampus also often carries chains with like various sized bells on them, so you can like hear them coming, basically, and a bundle of birch branches or a whip.
Yeah.
And sometimes he's shown wearing a basket on his back, which he puts bad children in to be drowned, eaten, or taken to hell. Yeah.
Or whipped with his switch.
No, that's something different.
Whipping his kids with switch?
Yeah. So Krampus, with the birch and the switch, the birch and the whip are kind of like the same function of like different things. So like bad kids get birch sticks, which I'll talk about in a minute, but bad kids can also get whipped. There are some regional variations of Krampus where Krampus is invited to your home and then Krampus comes in and like drops candy on the floor. And if the kids rush too quickly to get it, then Krampus whips them while they pick up the candy from the floor.
That's so funny. Oh my God.
He's like, hey, are way more interesting.
Hey, not too fast, too furious on this. Calm it down a little bit. Yeah.
So clothing is optional for Krampus, but Krampus can also be seen carrying or wearing this bag or like a basket to carry naughty children off.
Yeah. A lot of the German wood carved stamp things are Krampus with a basket.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. The basket is the most common.
I think the like wood, like the like older German wood carving Krampuses are like the best, is best Krampus.
Oh, they're super cool.
Old German wood carving Krampus, now, best Krampus.
I don't really know exactly when Krampus like first came round because there wasn't really any information about that I was able to find.
One day, no Krampus. All of a sudden,
but as time went on and like the 1800s rolled around, the Victorian times, people got really into sending like Krampus cards. So like postcards with like art on the front to, you know, as like a season's greeting thing. And the Krampus pictures for that got wild. They weren't just Krampus with the kids and the stuff. It was Krampus like trying to like get at some ladies ladies dressed as Krampus.
Yes.
There is some wild Victorian
Krampus
era
going
Krampus
for some ladies
image.
With his switch is like deaf and ancient wood carving that I've seen. Yeah, man.
Not even ancient.
Not even ancient. Yeah. Just like old timey wood carvings. Yeah.
Now, some people think that Krampus is a variation of an older custom called Perkenlaufen. Yeah, Perkenlaufen. And this is like a celebration where women of old disguised themselves by wearing masks and tattered clothes and rags, and they had their hair down because most of the time in old timey times, women had their hair up or back. Yeah. So having their hair down.
You had to have your hair up for Jesus.
Yeah, having your hair down would have been like a
no
not even a no, just like the opposite basically of like rom-com teen movies where like the girl with the glasses takes her glasses off, takes her hair down, she's totally a different person. It's basically the same thing. So it was common for women who were dressing up for Perchtenlaufen to also leave one breast bare. And they were so disguised that this was not considered improper. This was like primarily something in Germany and in Dutch territories. Yeah. So
I mean, there's a whole statue for a lady who rode on a horse naked just because shits and gigs. So listen, people were like, no nudity, Jesus, but also
survived into fairly modern times with people still celebrating in this similar way up until like the early 1900s.
We should still be doing that. Very gangster.
Yeah. So the disguised people would split into two groups and then they would stage a mock battle. And
very cool.
mock battles kind of stem from ancient ritual battles, which are thought to be about the fertility of crops. However, in doing some research on this, I think that scholars that say that it's about fertility of crops are kind of missing the point, because it's really more of a spiritual battle, if you will. So when you look at the Wiccan tradition for Yule, there are some rituals, particularly group ones, that have to do with the battle between the Oak King and the Holly King, which is essentially the changing of the seasons and sort of changing of the guard and power changes and that sort of thing. So I think that the fertility of crops is a bit short-sighted and is not really looking too far into it. But that's what Perchtelaufen is. And because this took place in like German and Dutch areas, when people came to the United States, when pilgrims came here, a lot of the Pennsylvania Dutch customs sort of like transformed into other very interesting customs. But in particular, a Belsnickel is a combination of Krampus and Perchtelaufen, and sort of takes that together.
Sure,
so
totally.
the Belsnickel in Pennsylvania Dutch customs is basically Krampus, but comes to your house dressed in rags and also carries birch or sticks and that sort of thing.
It sounds like Pennsylvania Dutch are using the word Belsnickel to describe mall Santa.
Well, kind of.
In a modern, I don't mean that in a derogatory way at all, by the way. Mall Santas are the best. In fact, I know like several dudes who do mall Santa.
Mm-hmm.
And they all fucking love it. They all think it's like the fucking coolest thing they can do, like now that they're retired or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Well,
but
not
like,
particularly
it's
mall Santa.
It's that like a Belsnickel is the like Krampus stand-in.
I can see where you're going with that, but
you know what I mean?
Where you see the traditions of Belsnickel, you don't see the traditions of Krampus. They are you generally get one or you get the other.
The same, yeah.
Yes. Now Krampus and Perchtelaufen and Belsnickel and Perchtelaufen, they kind of like they kind of exist together. But the Belsnickel, the main difference between Belsnickel and Krampus is that Krampus generally is only giving stuff to bad children, whereas the Belsnickel is bringing presents for good kids and then stuff for bad kids.
Beatings.
So celebrating Krampus is actually really cool. And it's something that I want to bring more into our own personal practice. This year we did just a little bit. But
we did leave shoes out with candy and alcohol for Krampus, which, let's be perfectly fucking real here. I love Christmas is probably my favorite holiday. I'm pretty crazy about Christmas.
You are pretty crazy about
Christmas. I am pretty crazy. Also, I love all Christmas movies, even the shitty ones. They're all fantastic. Christmas movies are where bad writing goes to die, and it's my favorite thing ever. Right? Because most of it, not so good. 10% of it, though, just amazing. What did we watch? What did we watch on Netflix the other day? Fucking Father Came Home.
Father Christmas is
home or some nonsense like that. It was so good. Oh my God. Everybody was just like 1975 hamming it up. It was fucking rad. Oh my God, that movie was fantastic. Okay. So what I wanted to say about this was that it sounds a lot like Krampus is sort of the like combination of a bunch of traditions.
Yes.
He's like the collector of traditions with regard to that sort of stuff.
Yeah. You could definitely see that.
Oh, okay.
So we're always like, yes, we should do this stuff for Krampus. And then December 5th comes before we know it. And we're just like, oh, we forgot. So Krampusnacht, or Krampus Night, is celebrated on December 5th, which is traditionally the day before the feast of St. Nicholas. So even though Krampus can be tied sort of at least a little bit to some of the ancient traditions, really Krampus sort of like received its full fleshing in under the Christian influence, which may turn some people off, but but I invite you to kind of like push that aside because Krampus is a pretty interesting character, and I definitely think he warrants a place.
Yeah.
So to celebrate Krampusnacht,
my opinion, if you're gonna have a magical man B&E your house, right? A little break and enter. I would rather it be like a weird satyr demon than like Santa Claus.
I don't know. I mean, you're definitely in for a good time if it's Krampus, or you're in for a bad time. Depends on how you like to look at that.
Yeah.
So one way that you can celebrate Krampusnacht is with a Krampus run. Krampus runs are basically parades where people, mostly or preferably dressed as Krampus, drunkenly...
People mostly are goats? What are we talking about here?
No, where people mostly are dressed like Krampus. But you don't have to be dressed like Krampus to be involved in the run, generally.
Yeah.
They drunkenly run through the streets and scream and yell and try to frighten children. So that's a Krampus run. It's a
that sounds
whole thing.
Awesome.
In fact, most of the pictures that you see of Krampus or Krampusnacht or any of the Krampus festivals are from the Krampus runs. They're generally done after dark, but sometimes they're done in the daytime. There's no particular reason why or why not. It's just sort of there. Drunkenly running around, their drink of preference would be schnapps. Schnapps is very regionally sort of popular that time of year. Schnapps is a fruit or other strongly flavored infused liquor.
Yeah.
So like peppermint.
Schnapps is just a German word for liqueur.
Yeah, basically. So you're going to be taking out your, peppermint schnapps, dressing up like a goat man and running through the streets trying to scream at children and scare them. Sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
I prefer my schnapps
as far as
and
children go,
like Scotch.
you can, you can like leave your shoes out. In some places, kids would leave a shoe just like outside the door. I was reading this and I was like, are people stealing shoes from kids? Like,
yeah, people are assholes.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Leaving a
I have
shoe.
no doubt that some monster stole a kid's shoe full of candy, but that's fine.
Yeah. So kids would leave their shoes out, either outside the door or just like outside, like near the hearth or something like that. And they would get gifts put into their shoes if they were good, or a birch stick if they were bad. In some traditions, the birch stick is actually painted gold or silver or white or something like that. And in some traditions, they're just regular birch. Naked birch sticks. Now, sometimes Krampus was known to give coal to bad children either.
As opposed to birch in a pair of long johns.
I guess. So some families would be gifted a bundle of birch sticks from Krampus. Not because they had bad kids, but to remind the kids year round them birch sticks.
Yeah, that's a mad Krampus flex. What are you talking
about? It's
basically
the progenitor of Elf on the Shelf.
Could you imagine getting a gift from Santa Claus that's just like some sort of statistical analysis for a coal mine? Like that's some straight up like, listen, you're not bad this time. You're kind of a piece of shit, so you might be next time. So let me remind you about what happens if you don't get this. Like that's dirty. That's dirty Krampus shit right there.
Yeah. So this bundle of birch sticks that would be displayed year round, they would just like have it there, and I get it's basically like year round Elf on the Shelf.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd just be given a birch stick if you were a bad kid.
When your kid's acting up in the 1400s and you're like, hey, look at that pile of sticks. You want that pile of sticks all waving about your face and whatnot? Remember, Krampus is a nightmare. Be good.
Yeah.
I love it. Krampus is like my absolute favorite. I love everything about Krampus. Krampus is the best.
Yeah, Krampus is super fun. I actually watched the horror movie. It was on Shudder today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Krampus
so I got to
is such
watch
a good
that
movie,
today.
too, yeah. And we just finished the Krampus book.
Yeah,
which is
Braun.
Yeah, Brom.
With an M. B-R-O-M.
Oh, I thought it was with an N. Okay, Brom with an M. It's really, really good. It's, what has it been, like 3-year tradition now?
Yeah.
That we listen to it like every holiday, like every Yule season. We listen to Krampus and Nosferatu. Yeah. Which is by Joe Hill.
Yeah.
Which is Stephen King's kid.
Yeah.
And Nosferatu is also good. Nothing to do with Krampus. Very dark. We like horror. So it's a horror book. And if you have an opportunity, again, no sponsor, but I have to flex this because I fucking love this audiobook. listen to it in the audiobook format. It's read by Kate Mulgrew, who's Captain Janeway from Star Trek Voyager. I love Kate Mulgrew to death. She's like one of my favorite people on Earth.
Yeah.
And she reads this book perfectly. Like, I refuse to actually read this book on my own. Like, on paper. Legit. That's how good Kate Mulgrew is. While we were listening to it this year, I was like thinking that in my head when I was driving to work and listening to it. I was just like, you know what? I was like, we should own like a copy of Krampus, like on
it's
a
illustrated.
bookshelf.
We should.
It's illustrated. I didn't even know that. Shit, that sounds awesome. And I'm like, that sounds dope. I would love to own a copy of this book because I've listened to it like, I don't know, shit at this point in time like 5 times.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, I love this book, but I was like, man, do I want to read this and not have Kate Mulgrew like fill me with dread? You know, it's just, I don't know. It's one of those, it's such a perfect read. It's such a perfect fucking fit. But yeah, read the Krampus book, watch the Krampus movie, get a Krampus decoration. I actually looked this year for like a really nice Krampus like figurine for our tiny town behind us, and I couldn't find one. So I'm probably going to have to buy a 3D printer and 3D print one. So.
Or we're just going to have to make one. We're just going to sculpt one.
Yeah, we'll buy a 3D printer and 3D print one. That seems like a lot less work. I don't need to sculpt the detail of a fucking basket on a figurine this big.
I mean, but maybe you do.
So much work.
But maybe you do.
I have 8 models in differential stages of doneness.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you're made for that.
No, that's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do. Criminy.
Well, it wouldn't be proper to talk about Krampus and not talk about his counterpart, St. Nicholas, aka Santa Claus.
Yeah. Popo Gijo. Oh my god, I love those movies so much.
The Santa Claus, yeah.
Oh, yes. Tim Allen just absolutely devastates those movies. It's so good. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Santa Claus at first glance seems kind of like a weird thing to put on this list because this is like a pagan heathen and this is like a Christian thing. But
is Santa Claus a Christian
but like
thing?
Modern Santa Claus has kind of been moved to a place where it sort of isn't any of that.
Yeah.
So modern Santa Claus is one part Saint Nicholas, who was a saint who lived in the 3rd to 4th century. He's the patron saint of children and was known to secretly leave gifts to those in need.
Yeah.
So it's one part. He's also one part Father Christmas, who took the place of Saint Nicholas in certain parts of the world, and represented peace, joy, revelry, and good food and drink. It's very important, the good food and drink thing, because everything I read really focused on that good food and drink thing. So, Father Christmas. And then he's also one part Santa Claus, who is a combination of Odin and Saint Nicholas. So that's kind of why we're here talking about Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
So Odin has a lot of, parallels to Santa Claus, which they talk about in the book Brahm that you were just, in the book Krampus by Brahm. Do you need
to take a break?
Woof.
Yeah. Don't drink so much during these podcasts, bro.
I'm not even drinking that much.
No, it's mostly me. I'm the one that's drinking.
Yeah, you're the one who's drinking.
Yeah.
So Odin wears a long cloak and has a big hat.
Yep.
Well, he rides around on his flying eight-legged horse and is accompanied by his 2 ravens who listen for news of the world. The wild hunt.
How many reindeer is Santa Claus pulled by? Is it pulled by 8 reindeer?
Yes.
I think I've never made that connection before, but
Yeah.
that's humorous as shit.
Yeah. So, in addition to that, the wild hunt happens around or just before the winter solstice, where Odin and his helpers, animal or otherwise, ride around the world hunting game to bring back home to feed people for the long winter. So, there's a lot of parallels there. Very clearly. So, Sinterklaas wears a large red robe, so different color than Odin, but still a big robe, a large fancy hat, while riding a white horse. Very specifically, Santa Claus wears a white horse. But modern Santa Claus is pulled by 8 reindeer, his 8-legged horse, that kind of thing. And Santa Claus's helpers are called Zwarte Piet. And they listen at chimneys and tell him if children were good or bad. Now, back in the olden times, a chimney was not this like brick or, like sculpted thing. It was literally just like a hole in a roof. So they would listen and then tell Sinterklaas whether or not these kids were good enough to warrant having gifts. And if they were, then he would toss some gifts down the chimney. And if they weren't, he would just move on to the next place. So there's a folk...
Spread lies near your fireplace is what I'm hearing.
Don't spread lies.
The fireplace listens to your lies.
I mean, we're in trouble then because the fireplace is like the centerpiece of our whole house.
That's fair. That's what I keep getting up for. Is drinks and fire. Keeping the fireplace going.
So there's this folklorist named Margaret Baker, and she says that, quote, "The appearance of Santa Claus or Father Christmas, whose day is the 25th of December, owes much to Odin, the old blue-hooded, cloaked, white-bearded gift-bringer of the North, who rode the midwinter sky on his 8-footed Sleipnir, visiting his people with gifts. Odin, transformed into Father Christmas, then Santa Claus, prospered with St. Nicholas and the Christ child, and became a leading player on the Christmas stage." So Santa Claus really isn't just part of the Christian tradition. It's sort of part of the weird amalgamation of things as they sort of pick up new traditions over time, and how the Christianization of Europe affected people who lived there and practiced the native religions for where they were, and sort of like changed them around. And historically, Santa Claus pretty much looked however the people wanted him to look. But his look into what we know in modern times didn't really solidify until 1823. So a lot of people say that Coca-Cola are the ones that made Santa, but that's not true.
It's totally true. Don't listen to the lies. Don't believe Coca-Cola's lies. They invented Santa Claus. They're monster people. Please send me free Coca-Cola. I love that shit.
So there's 2 things that really invented the modern look of Santa Claus, and one of them is the poem
Carbs.
No, one of them is the poem A Visit from St. Nicholas, which is also called The Night Before Christmas. And that was written in 1823, where they talk about Santa Claus having like a jolly
bowl full of jelly.
Yeah, I want to point out that in that, Santa Claus is miniature.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I don't
He's
know.
miniature. Let's keep that in mind there. Yeah, that's just an odd thing that no one seems to like ever do anything with. Now, the second thing that changed what we know of Santa Claus looking like is in 1881, an illustrator who's named Thomas Nast drew the classic Santa. And this guy wasn't just an illustrator, he was also a cartoonist, but like very famously a political cartoonist. And he's also the one who came up with a variety of different things that we still think about today. So like as far as politics go, Republicans have an elephant and Democrats have a donkey, and he is the first person to have ever drawn that. So he really like cemented a lot of like primarily American visual ideals for the things that we celebrate. He also created Uncle Sam.
But like Big Fat Santa ain't worldwide Santa. Santa Claus worldwide, not Big Fat Santa.
No. Now, Santa's look did continue to be tinkered with until the Coca-Cola ads came out. The Coca-Cola ads in the 1930s really like
solidified.
Like, yeah, they like
2 things.
Cauterized
that Santa Claus is a big fat white dude, and that polar bears love the taste of Coca-Cola.
And that polar bears and penguins are in the same place, which they're not.
I mean, they can be if you try hard enough.
No,
they're not. I love those Coca-Cola commercials, though. Their Christmas commercials are the best. They're heartwarming.
Yeah. So that's Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Now we don't. Yeah. So we celebrate. We do gifts on Christmas Day because that's generally the easiest thing to do.
We celebrate Christmas, but not
in like a Christian
churchy
religious
Christ
way.
Mass Christmas. Yeah. We just celebrate Christmas the Hallmark holiday.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Mostly. But we also celebrate Yule and like several other winter festivals that happen around this time.
And we are definitely going to celebrate Krampusnacht.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we did. That was in the past.
Well, yeah, I guess
we did celebrate Krampusnacht.
And next year on the list is also Saturnalia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to do more Saturnalia this year. Honestly, Saturnalia a little caught me off guard. But this has been a busy fucking season.
Yeah. Well, I've got a big old calendar, and I'm going to be putting all of the holidays and like feast days down, and we're going to have a party time 2022. I'm already like, this calendar, this is going to be a lot of work. How am I going to do this? I don't know. I'm mostly going to sit in front of my computer and furiously jot dates and the way to like figure out dates down, and then come back to the calendar and write them down. They're going to be so full.
Yeah.
So
5 calendars.
So for Yule specifically, we typically celebrate by having people over and by doing a small ritual or an involved ritual, sort of depending on what our flavor is. And we usually do a feast because we always do a feast. It's usually something like hearty. There's like soups and stews that we'll do, and we bake cookies. And sometimes we give gifts, but we generally are... we generally don't want people to feel like they need to give us a gift, because a lot of people we know aren't necessarily in the place to be able to provide gifts to everyone that they know. So for us, Yule is more of a feeling that we have.
It's like a feast and like hanging out with friends and like having a good time. Honestly, a lot of these, I think that in the modern age, we focus maybe a little too much on the gift giving aspect of a thing. And I'm a little biased on this because I am bad at gift giving, because I don't understand what humans are on about, and that shit's confusing. And gift giving has like a bunch of emotions and shit attached to it, and that shit's also confusing. So I'm like not good at it, right? But like, other than the like small, like we do like a family, what is that called? Secret Santa?
Yeah.
We do like a small family Secret Santa. We should totally try and make that a white elephant next year. That would be fun.
It'd be fun.
White elephant is always like my favorite way to just completely destroy friendships.
I like the right, left, right poem thing.
But I do not know what that means. At all, in fact. Not even a little. We'll explain that when I'm done. That doesn't make any sense. No, yeah. So we do like a little bit of gift giving, and it's mostly just about like the hanging out and the food. I mean, this is really just like gangster Thanksgiving for us.
Yeah.
And if you're outside of America, Thanksgiving is a holiday where we celebrate lies by having food. I think is what's going on right now with more Thanksgiving. I don't really know. But it's a good excuse to buy turkey hella cheap and eat that shit. And I fucking love turkey. So bam. The Thanksgiving sandwich is a sandwich with 3 carbs on it. So what are you going to put inside of that bread? Turkey, potatoes, other wet and then cooked wet bread. Yes. Yeah. I want bread and potatoes inside of my fucking bread. Holy shit. I didn't get fat not eating carbs. It's so good. But yeah, this year we're doing beef stew.
Yeah, we're doing beef stew.
Yeah. So yeah, in a way that I have fucking literally never cooked beef stew, by the way. It's very interesting. Again, thank you, Ragusia, for making me do something very risky for a holiday with a bunch of family members. So whatever, it'll work out. I'm confident.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fucking fine.
Yeah. So normally what we do with these episodes is we give 2 spells, but in lieu of doing 2 spells, I have written a simple Yule ritual. And I say simple, but this is much longer than what our typical spells are. So we generally have all of these up on our Patreon for the Horn and Cauldron subscribers. So you can kind of like download these pages and you can keep them and you can print them out or just like save them, to whatever. So we've got a simple Yule ritual for you. Feel free to take some of these pieces here and reuse them as you want. But this is something that I have written that is, in mind with Yule and not specific to any sort of tradition. So it kind of takes a lot of different elements from a lot of different places.
Yeah, Yule public domain, not Yule TM.
Yeah.
Whichever TM you're particular TMing.
Yeah, so for this ritual, you can of course include any other magical items that you like to use, but you will need something to drink. You'll need a small snack. You'll need 5 small candles, which is basically 1 for each point of a pentagram. And you will need 1 large candle that can be lit several times. Pillar candles, jar candles, or like those plain white prayer candles and those tall glass things are great for this ritual. So first, you're going to cast your circle and clear your mind. And once you're ready, light the candle for earth. And the candles for the points of the pentagram, you can have them in the points of the pentagram. You can have them colored for the elements. You can have them in the directions of the elements. Whatever you want to do. You can just have them in a straight line.
From
however you want to do
from
it.
The grocery store, because that shit's cheap and you were able to get it at the last minute. So do that.
They could also be electric candles. However you want to do this.
Yeah. Also, if you're gonna have candles, 2 things. 1, make sure that you're paying attention. Fire safety, you know, the thing that I always say. You have them on a surface that isn't going to burn. I've definitely ruined a couple of altar cloths by putting a candle on top of them.
Perhaps recently.
Inside of a metal thing, and the metal thing got hot and it like ruined the altar cloth. And also, make sure you know where the wax is going to go when it melts, because I just had wax run down my top tier altar space onto the 2nd tier altar space, ruining an altar cloth there, and then down onto the 3rd tier altar space, ruining an altar cloth there, a ritual knife, and a couple of rocks buried in wax. So I have a bunch of cleanup to do post Yule season. Sounds like January Jonathan's problem, and fuck that guy. So, because I'm not dealing with that shit right now, man. That sounds like way too much work.
Yeah. So
be smart.
Yeah. So you can do with these things as, you know, anything you want. The idea behind these rituals is make it whatever you want it to be. So light the candle for earth and say, spirits of the earth, warm the frozen ground beneath me. Next, light the air candle and say, spirits of air, shelter me from the cold winter winds. Next, light the fire candle and say, spirits of fire, warm my hearth and my heart. Next, light the water candle and say, spirits of water, shelter me from the cold rains. And now you'll light the spirit candle, which is typically the top of the pentagram, and say, spirits of my ancestors, guide and protect me during the dark months. Now, once you've got all these lit, take a moment to think about the winter season, the symbolism of the longest night, and kind of what that means to people, what that meant to ancient people, what that means to you personally. Keeping in mind that each day after this gets longer as spring approaches, and the possibilities just seem endless. As you get to this period where it's the beginning of the year and the end of the year, and you're kind of starting a new cycle. So once you're ready, light the large candle and say, the wheel of the year turns from dark to light and back again. Tonight marks the beginning of the sun's return and brings with it new hopes and dreams. Now, meditate on a singular goal that you'd like to achieve this year while staring into the flame of that candle. If you would like, when the candle is later been put out, you can decorate this candle for that particular thing. But for right now, you want it to be blank, because you really want to get this goal in mind during this ritual and then continue that after. So when you're ready, thinking about your singular goal, say, spirits, aid me in fulfilling my wish to, whatever your wish is. As the days pass, my progress increases. When I falter, I use the light of this candle to guide my way. Now, enjoy your small snack, and be sure to leave behind a sip and a bite for the spirits. And once you're ready, you can close the circle. thank the spirits and extinguish the candles. You don't have to do this in any particular ritualistic way. You can literally just say thank you and extinguish the candles. Like, that's fine. However you want to do that for you. You want to save your large candle until last, though. And once that candle is out, then you can move that candle someplace else in your space, and you can decorate it if you want for whatever your goal is. And then when you need encouragement or reminders about reaching whatever this goal is, light that candle and just let that burn for a little bit. So you can really kind of keep this going for as long as you want. And if your candle burns out, you just get another candle. Yeah. It's totally fine. So that's like a nice simple Yule ritual.
If you put your candle on top of a second candle, one continuous candle.
Yes. Yes, that is definitely a thing that we do. To try and reuse wax, if nothing else.
Yeah. We have a whole drawer, just wax, of various partial candles. Both weird experiments where the candle that I made didn't work. Yeah. Which is like a shocking thing to make a candle and it doesn't candle. But it happens, I guess. As well as just like whatever weird candles that have like burned out. Yeah. Or like every once in a while we
candle butts.
Every once in a while we get a candle and we're just like, this candle burns perfectly. And then like 6 months later, you're like, oh, this candle just burned a perfect tube down the center of this candle. What a waste of wax. So I save all that shit to make new candles. Wax recycle. Yeah.
Yeah, we do a lot of wax recycling around here.
I make a lot of candles. Both standard, like, poured wax candles and beeswax candles, which I actually prefer beeswax candles. Way easier.
Yeah, I like the way the unrefined ones smell. They smell just a little sweet.
Yeah, beeswax makes a nice scent. Yeah. And you have to use so much essential oil to make like a candle throw in a good way. Because I refuse to use candle scents. Candle scents are like mildly toxic and some people can be allergic to them. So it's better to err on the side of safety and use like pure essential oil when you're doing candles. So
yeah. So now you have a nice simple Yule ritual to do, whether it's this year or another year, and you can kind of meld that into your own tradition. Of course, if you're in the broom closet, modify this however you think makes the most sense. Rather than saying things out loud, you can maybe say them in your head. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily have to go super overtly witchy about it. Yep. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of do that.
And you can use electric tea lights for your 5 candles and an electric, you go to the store, you can get like electric pillar candles nowadays run off 4 AA batteries kind of a thing, right? And then just like turn that on whenever you need to focus, and it's just like a nice ambient light or whatever. You can kind of see in this guy, that's an LED light that like flickers like fire. Like you could even use something like that.
We've got like a lampshade behind us, for those of you that aren't watching the YouTube video. That has like these like candle flicker LED lights in them, and they're pretty cool, and we have them throughout the house in a like I can see 4 of them right now.
Yeah, there are like 4 in the like near vicinity, but it gives like a nice sort of like warm glow, like soft glowing light. So we just kind of have them about the house as like ambient lighting, and they're LED, so they don't take a ton of electricity or any of that kind of stuff.
And actually having an LED pillar candle is honestly kind of perfect for the candle for your goal in this spell, because so smart. It's never going to burn down. It's always going to be there, and if the batteries run out, you just do new batteries. So whenever you're working towards your goal, you can just have that candle on as kind of like extra oomph.
And you can use it as like a meditative process. It would allow you to use a candle in a significantly safer and a significantly more repetitive way than like a traditional candle, right? Like it's a very good idea to use like an LED pillar candle or something to that extent for your like goal candle, as it were.
Which we very well agree. Might just get some of those.
It's actually a super smart idea.
Yeah. So as usual, we've got correspondences for you. So for Yule correspondences, we've got animals. So deer are associated with Yule, especially stags. So is the phoenix and squirrels and trolls. Although I suppose trolls aren't really animals. But that's where I put them initially. So I'm going to have to move that.
Yeah, trolls are people, bro. What's wrong with you? Damn. Damn. Disrespectful, dog. Trolls getting fucking hated on over here.
Move it right now.
Yeah, shit, bro.
You just watch me. You just watch
That's fine.
me.
She's moving it, guys. Don't worry. I'm watching her do it. I'm watching her do.
There we go.
Oh my god, do you do those alphabetically?
Yeah, they're alphabetically.
Oh, I've never noticed that.
That's why it ended up there. Well, they weren't alphabetically originally, and
you could have just lied and said they were alphabetical this whole time, and I would have believed.
No,
I have no
early ones
reference.
are not alphabetical.
And I understand that I have to look at these to do the Book of Shadows pages, and so there are times when I look at a thing and I'm like, maybe there's something spelt wrong here, but often I'm just like, this seems fine.
Yeah. So colors associated with Yule are, I mean, really all the colors that you would expect. So blue, gold, green, red, silver, white, all of those colors associated with Yule.
I know that you did that alphabetically, but the order in which you did that is the most infuriating shit I have ever heard. Right? It's red and green, blue and white, silver and gold.
Yeah. Just in a different order. It's like a word jumble.
Wow. Hey, maybe the Book of Shadows is different. Subscribe to our Patreon to find out, because that shit's annoying.
You'll forget by the time you're doing the
Oh my god, I'm gonna forget in fucking 30 seconds, but that's fine.
Yeah. So stones that are associated with Yule would be bloodstone, clear quartz, emerald, ruby, garnet, and also snowflake obsidian.
What the fuck is snowflake obsidian?
Oh, it's like a black stone that has little white snowflake kind of like patterns on it. It's very pretty.
Wow. Did not know.
Yeah.
Did not know. Learning about new rocks. Guys learn something every day.
Yeah. And bloodstone is kind of like a red and green stone.
Oh, I know what bloodstone looks like. Yeah.
As far as
stone
plants
made out of human blood.
Really also all of the plants and herbs that you would think are associated with this holiday are. So cinnamon and clove, frankincense, ginger, holly, ivy, mistletoe, mint. I put myrrh in there twice. I really wanted to nail that one home, I guess.
Is myrrh a plant?
Well, it's under this plants and herbs kind of thing.
It's not an answer.
It's a resin. Poinsettia,
I don't know what
rosemary,
is, so yes.
And really any evergreen is associated with Yule. For those of you that live in an area that is tropical or subtropical, palms are also pretty generally associated with winter festivities.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are also evergreen.
Is that because of the Corona commercials?
No, actually, that stems from
I just love that fucking Corona
it stems
commercial.
from like
with the whistling and then the palm tree lights up. It's perfect.
No,
they ran that commercial for like fucking
that.
2 decades, dude.
It's something that sort of came from.
Commercial's part of my soul.
It's something that sort of came from Saturnalia. So Saturnalia is like the winter Greek festival, but they're very close to Egypt. And in Egypt, they primarily used palms to decorate during festivals as evergreens, particularly like the winter months.
Palm trees evergreen here? I guess palm trees are evergreen.
Palm trees are evergreen.
That's very strange. I guess I've never really thought about a palm tree as being evergreen.
But also ferns are evergreen,
sure,
and so is ivy, so is mistletoe.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff makes sense, but a palm tree as evergreen.
So are bromeliads.
Yeah. Well, assuming they live.
I mean, yeah.
Bromies can be dicks sometimes.
No, they're not. You water them and then they don't die. That's it. Yeah. So foods, again, this is all like, it's all very like, oh, that makes sense. So like apples and breads, candy, cookies, cranberries, dark beer, especially, eggnog, mead, ham, hot chocolate, mulled wine, my personal favorite, cold, warm sangria is basically what mulled wine is. Nuts, dried fruit, and any other seasonal food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my sangria is pretty good too.
I'm not saying the sangria is bad. I'm just saying that mulled wine is better. And mulled stout, even better than mulled wine. But
yeah, we did that last year.
Mulled stout also has like rum and red wine in it, so that shit gets you fucking
that was dangerous.
Riggedy
Woo.
wrecked, bro.
I
was literally just talking about that today after work with the guys. we were like sitting outside, and I have like just like an overshirt on at work, and the guys are sitting outside in like these like big heavy jackets, and they're like, I'm so cold. And I was like, it would be great if we had like warm beer, but like warm beer isn't like a thing, kind of.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but last year Julie and I made this mulled stout that was pretty dope, and I was talking about it, and they're like, yeah, of course it's delicious. That's just alcohol with flavors, bro. Like that's because we made it like pretty beefy, but it was delish.
Yeah, it was beefy.
Mucho delish, but also a lot of alcohol. It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, it was something. Oof,
you can also do mulled cider non-alcohol.
Yeah.
Right? If you get like just like whatever unfiltered apple juice in the States, I think that's what that's called. And then you just like season it with spices and herbs and such.
Yeah, and you can also mull like cranberry juice as like a wine alternative.
Yeah, so you can definitely get those flavors if you're like no drink, Yeah. So and like if it's if it's like Yule goat is the thing, but like you're like no meat, then like do some other shit that's not a goat, but like has some sort of equivalence.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think fractal broccoli. But that's just because I think fractal broccoli for everything. So do fractal broccoli instead of a goat. Yule fractal broccoli.
It's not in season. There's no way you're going to find
there's no way. Yeah, there's no way. Yule asparagus? What's in season right now?
I mean, there's a bunch of asparagus. I mean, really like lettuce,
turnips,
beets, and turnips.
Yeah, I don't even know. Lettuce isn't in season. It's just that we live in like a weird nightmare place where we can get lettuce all year round.
Yeah, we live in California, so we can get a lot of that stuff. But yeah,
we live in Northern California. It's not being grown here. Let's fucking clarify that strongly.
A lot of that stuff is grown.
Greenhouse, same. But a lot of our stuff's just grown in like SoCal.
Yeah. Yeah. So deities that are associated with Yule are Amaterasu, Apollo, Balder, Brigid, Demeter, Gaia, so like Mother Earth, Green Man, the Holly King, and the Horned God, Isis, Lu, as well as Odin, Perchta, Ra, Rhea, and the Triple Goddess.
You don't have Krampus on there.
Because he's not a deity.
Is it a man that you allow to break into your house and beat your children?
I mean, I can put
that
Krampus
sounds like a deity to me, right? Lestwise, you want to stop Krampus, the fucking Yule Lord.
KL.
Where's K? I don't know. Shit. I went to American high school, bro.
Yeah, that's why I have to do the
alphabet
every
has
time.
To be said in my head every single fucking time I have to think about a letter.
Yeah.
I'm like, what comes after H? J. Right? It's I. I lie.
Yeah, H-I-J.
Yeah. I was just fucking.
I know that because my name is a J, so H-I-J, that lives in my mind rent free.
Yeah?
Yeah.
My name also starts with a J. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Well, that sounds like you failed as being the bearer of a name that starts with J.
I guess. I don't know. Honestly, this is my thing. I don't care about alphabetical. I don't care about non-alphabetical. Our alphabet's silly, so I don't worry about it. Yeah. And like, what if they go by last name? My last name's an N, so it, that's like in the dead middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just, whatever. I'm used to just being in the middle.
Okay. So that's Yule. That's Yule 102.
It's Yule 102, huh?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So our next episode is going to be a deep dive on the Dagda, which is a deity in the Celtic pantheon. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, the Dagda's dope.
Yeah. And then right after that episode, our new show is coming out.
Let's see. So the Dagda will be January the 3rd.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's perfect. Wow. That really works out. Good for us.
Yeah. So our new show is going to be happening for those of you that did not listen to our anniversary show, we're doing a new type of show. We're going to go to a format where you get to listen to us every week, which is really cool. So every other week, we're going to have these long form shows that take real deep dives, just like this one, into a variety of subjects. No changes there.
Horn and Cauldron podcast TM, following the same schedule it always does every other week, plus or minus a couple of days, because, you know, real life is a nightmare place. But on the off weeks where you traditionally don't get to look at or listen to our stupid faces, you now get that. You now get our stupid faces. You're welcome. We're the best. I know. Don't worry about it. The clapping, you're in public. Stop clapping. It's weird. But yeah, so we're gonna do this new show. It's gonna be short form, like in the 15 to 45 minute range, because we've never done one. So we'll see. Yeah, and we originally started out with these podcast episodes being 45 minutes to an hour, and a lot of them clock in at like an hour and a half. So this boy's sitting at what, like an hour 30 almost already. No, that's a complete lie. Actually, this one's going to be closer to an hour. Damn. Yeah, this is a shorter one. Yeah, hour 15. So we're going to be doing on, so the new show is going to be called Horn and Cauldron Pub Chat. It's going to be on the same channel. You know, you don't have to. Same bad time, same bad place, but it's on the off weeks. And our pub chats are going to be short form, and they're going to be more, a little bit more personable, right? A combination of answering the occasional question. Some of these pub chats are going to be long form in the form of live streams throughout the year, as our like back stock of like in-depth complicated questions builds. But for the most part, these are going to be like a short 15 to 45 minute, because I'm admitting truth about how long we're going to talk about a thing. So we're going to be and it's going to be a little bit more about like our practice, as well as not just our practice, but like new thing that we read or interesting topic that we're like interested in at this moment. That's not quite long enough or able for us to do a full show on. So we'll be talking about a lot of little things. We definitely want to answer questions. So if you've got questions for us, please hit us up, ask us questions. You can you can email them, you can send them to us on social. If you become a patron, you can just ask questions, even these shows notwithstanding, in the Discord chat or on Patreon, and we will answer them as best as we can, as quickly as we can. You know, and you can find links to all of that stuff at nerdjive.com, which is in the description below if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening on the podcast networks, I guess you just have to type that into a browser. Yeah, Nerd Jive. It's spelled how it sounds. Nerd and then Jive. Yeah, so we're really excited to be going to a way where we can talk to you guys every week about this stuff. Yeah. It's been a wild ride this first year, and we are so in love with it. And we're really grateful to our listeners, all 5 of you. Yeah. You guys are the best out there, because we really enjoy talking about this stuff, and it's nice to know we're not talking to an empty room. Yeah, well, I mean, technically this room isn't empty. We've got a whole bunch of dogs in here. Yeah, mostly these dogs are going to be like fucking archmages by the time we're done. So yeah. I mean, most of them already stare a little too deeply into the spirit realm. Yeah. Hey, are you looking in the void? Don't stop staring into the nightmarish. But yeah, no, so we're just gonna kind of talk about like whatever's clever on those. They're gonna be a little bit more free form, a little bit less researched, and a little bit more just kind of like chill boy style. Yeah. So stay tuned for that. That's coming in 2022. Again, I've been John Norgrove. This has been Julie Norgrove. If you're interested in supporting more like dope content like this, we have a Patreon. We're Nerd Jive on Patreon. There's a Horn and Cauldron podcast specific tier where you get access to the Book of Shadows pages, as well as a higher tier where you also get access to our barbecue hangouts. Yep. It's our stakeholders tier where you get to hold all the stakes and hang out with us once a month and just like shoot the shit and chit chat. These hangouts, man, every time They go way longer than has ever been intended, but it's not even like a complaint. It's just because it's so much fun to hang out with you guys and just like chit chat and like kind of talk about reality or whatever we're watching or whatever we just read. And it's fun. It's educational in both directions, which is kind of the point. But yeah, so support us on Patreon. You get Book Shadows pages, you get all that kind of stuff. Those are fun.
Yeah.
I like making them. My hallway is filled with them.
Yep.
So it's very, very fun. I enjoy them. I think they're pretty cool. And if you're listening to us on a podcast network, leave a review of the podcast or for the podcast, however that makes sense linguistically, because that's the only real way that we know that you listen to it. Let's be perfectly honest. Podcast analytics are a bullshit lie. And if you're watching us on YouTube, significantly easier asks, like this video, comment below, share, subscribe. You definitely have questions. Or we said a thing wrong. Tell us that we said a thing wrong below. It's okay. Because I would like to know how to say it properly.
Yeah.
Honestly, some of these definitely got some of these total lies. So, yeah, let us know what's going on with that. Comment below. We can have a conversation down there. We keep an eye on that. And you can also hit us up through direct email on nerdjive.com or on our social media.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's all of the commercials I had to commercial. Oh, lies. We have an Etsy shop as well.
We do.
I regularly forget to mention this in podcasts because I'm bad at this, being a business person. But we have an Etsy shop called Norgrove Enterprises. That's the last name. It's Norgrove. It's, again, links in the thing. But Norgrove Enterprises is our Etsy shop where we sell, like, embroidery floss and tie-dye. I'm like a weird colored wizard. So, like, we do, like tie-dye and witchy stuff and candles. And there is more coming in 2022. By a considerable margin, as well as we have a bunch of art pieces in there. Yep. Both of us do incredibly different styles of art. We have very different practices and very different styles of art, and both are featured in on our Etsy shop. So check that out and support us there.
Yeah, and we're hoping to do countdown calendars, like Advent calendars.
Yeah, we're hoping to do Advent calendars, not just for Yule, Christmas, but also for some of the other larger festivals.
Yeah.
Wow, I combined like 3 fucking words in that one. Drink more.
Yeah, so stay tuned and see what we've got in store.
Yeah. If that's it, we will catch you guys on the flip side. Either way, I have been John Norgrove. This has been Julie Norgrove. This has been the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. Stay magical, folks.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I have a thing I say here.
Yeah, you have a thing that you say. I'm pointing at her. She's not listening. Yeah, watch the YouTube video. It's very funny. Mostly because she's the responsible one, except for at the end.
Yeah. So don't forget, breathe in self-confidence and breathe out self-doubt.
Catch you guys next time.